to Vlogmas Day 7. We basically spent the entire day running around, going crazy, sorting things out, doing everything ready for our friends coming over tonight. Before they come, I'm going to do Advent. What day is it?
7.
Around here. Buddy's already had hers. She's actually a day ahead. So toasty in here. Got loads of food, got cocktails ready. Wood sage and sea salt. I didn't realise that I think the one I got the other day that I've been spraying on myself is actually for men.
It's so hard to find them.
Oh my god.
7.
Okay, 7. What's it gonna be? Oh my god. This literally is like a key ring that I used to have when I was little. Buddy's not like this, but...
Look at it.
What? How do you make it stop? Thought I'd show you my outfit that I'm wearing tonight. I've got this little top. I actually don't know the brand, but I got it from ASOS. I haven't worn it yet, and I'm worried it might be a bit annoying because we're playing games. It might like flip up.
What were you doing in the kitchen?
She was probably eating the food.
Yeah, she was licking her lips when she came in.
And these Free People vegan leather trousers. Love, love, love.
Where are the slippers from?
Ugg slippers, because I am not wearing shoes. And I think
Hot stuff.
I think I just had them leave that house. So as you can see, I didn't film a lot yesterday. Our friends came over and time just flew by. I knew this was going to happen. Toby was like, oh, people probably won't be here too late. And I was like, it's just like, when I feel like whenever you see people, especially like a mix of like quite a few people, I was like, by the time you've all caught up and we wanted to play some board games, I was like, time just flies by. All of a sudden it was like 1:30 and everyone was like, we should probably be heading home. And I just don't know. We literally all looked at our phones like, oh, it's probably like 11, and we were like, it's 1:30. We had such an amazing night. So I thought I would just sit down with you, have a little chat. So what I wanted to talk about was the house, and I really am going to try and nutshell this because I filmed this. I tried to film, this was the conversation that I didn't include because the lighting was really off. I tried to film Toby and I talking about it, and it's actually quite a long story, so we were struggling to keep it short. So this is me trying to keep it short, and I'm already prefacing it with a long explanation. So this time last year, just before Christmas, we decided we were going to move house. We always kind of look, but we had started looking a little bit more seriously, and then found a house and viewed a house that we really, really liked. We wanted to find out how much we could borrow, so we knew what our budget was. And we started looking around, and our main requirements were, at the moment we're in a 3-bedroom terraced Victorian house. We love old period property, so ideally we wanted an old period property, but at the moment there's so many new builds popping up that the majority of the things that we could afford and that offered what we were looking for were new builds. But this is my office slash wardrobe. It's like quite a small room, but it's actually not too small. I think it was like a kid's bedroom before we moved in, so it's not totally tiny, but we wanted separate office spaces and a spare room because we were both in Toby's office and this was just a wardrobe for both of us. Now, the things that we could find that were 4-bedroom, we kind of ended up losing downstairs space because we have quite a big dining room in our house currently, and that was something that we didn't really want to lose. Not necessarily losing like a separate closed off dining room, but having like a dining space off the kitchen, because we love entertaining, we love having our friends. More often than not, our friends come and stay because we're all spread out across the country now, so we wanted to have room where people could comfortably come and stay. It's not an airbed, and that we can like entertain in and really make use of the entertaining space. So they were our main requirements really. Spare room, separate office spaces. We'd love to have a driveway, we'd love to have a garage, but the separate office spaces and the spare room was like our main requirement. So we looked at lots and lots of different things, and we ended up really having a bit of a battle as to how far out of the city centre we wanted to go, because we're very, very central where we are. We have tons of stuff around us, loads of restaurants, pubs. Obviously Cabot Circus is within a 10-minute walk from our house. We are so central, and it's quite rare I think to get like a house by going any more central, because it all kind of turns into flats. And we're just so used to having those amenities. I personally didn't want to give them up, and I don't think Toby does either. I think he was just really wanting to have a big move. We didn't want to spend, you know, moving house costs like, I think we worked out with all of our costs, it was going to be about 50 grand to move. if not more. So we didn't want to spend that much money to kind of have a temporary home that will do us for a couple of years. We wanted to have like one big move into a much bigger house that was gonna do us for a much longer period of time. So we started looking about 20 minutes from the city centre, but then we weren't really getting that much more for our money. So then we started looking a bit further out, and one of my friends lives in Chippenham, and I was at her house and I started looking in that area, and I actually found a house in Melksham. So we started kind of looking in that area as well, because our train of thought was, well, if we're going to be 20 minutes from the city, we might as well be 40 minutes and get like 3 times the house that we can buy. So we went and viewed this house in Melksham, which was actually only 20 grand more than our house was valued at and was on the market for. And it was a 5-bedroom detached house with a huge garage, huge garden, and the house itself was actually massive. It was the biggest square foot for a 5-bedroom that we could find on the market in an area that we would potentially want to live in. And when we went to go and view it, we just like we could not fathom that this was something that we could actually buy. We always kind of thought that we would end up in a house like that, but I think just for our situation right now, we didn't realise that that was going to be the next step for us. Couldn't believe how good the house was, and it was sort of a no-brainer. Like, we had to make an offer on that house. We would have been stupid not to. So we made an offer, had our offer accepted. We were moving, our house was on the market, we were having tons of viewings, and you know, the house buying process is really stressful, but I anticipated the stress coming from the surveys and trying to get the chain together and all the bits and pieces that come when you're actually in the process. I didn't expect the kind of very beginning of the process to be as stressful as it was, but we got our offer accepted in April and we had our house on the market. We had some issues with our agent, we had some issues with the agent that we were buying from as well. It was just a very difficult process for us, and the guy that we were buying from was so lovely, and we met him and he was really nice, and we went back and viewed it a few times. Like, we weren't just making an offer and thought we were buying the house. We had made an offer, been back with our parents, been back a couple of times on our own. We had gone and like measured everything up. We had gone to B&Q, priced up our new kitchen, bathroom, ensuite, downstairs toilet. We had priced up all of the flooring. We were 100% fully in this process, and the guy who we were buying from started really faffing us about. He had another couple of properties that he decided he wanted to sell before moving so that he could have a much bigger move himself. So at one point he decided that he didn't even want to move forward with the selling process until much later in the year, October, December time. That was his kind of estimate anyway. But then he, like a week later, changed his mind and like immediately wanted us to continue with the process. Then he didn't like the house that they were going to be buying, so he changed his mind again. And it was just so up and down. And if you've been through this process before, you will understand how there is so much emotion riding on it. So every phone call we got, every decision was like a huge like, oh my god, it's like going ahead, and then we've lost the house of our dreams. And it was just like these like peaks and troughs of just so much emotion. It was really, really stressful. And we put a lot of things in this house on hold. Like, there was just some plastering that we needed doing and a couple of bits, but we didn't want to spend any money on our house if we weren't staying. We also haven't had any holidays this year because we thought that we were going to be moving and needed to kind of, one, not be away if we ended up having an exchange date when we were away and not being able to either go on holiday or not being able to move when it would have been the, you know, fitting in with the chain. We just kind of had our lives on hold and in a bit of limbo for this entire year basically. So it's been really stressful, but it got to August, but we were on a long car ride and I was like, we need to make a decision. I can't live like this anymore. We can't be in this limbo of like, we're moving, oh my god, to we're not moving and we're staying, or we just have no idea. It got to the point where we just would have no idea. Every time the estate agent called us, we were like, what's it going to be now? And are we going to be excited, or do we have to face disappointment again? I was never 100% sure about moving so far out of Bristol. Personally, for me, I think where we are is really great for both of our careers right now. Toby, being an animator, works with loads of local artists, musicians, businesses. Obviously most of his work is outside of Bristol, but he gets a lot from Bristol based people. As a stylist, it's great to be so close to the city centre, have access to all of the shops. It's great to have places like Harvey Nichols, and it's really inspiring, and it's much more of a kind of thriving place. It's great for things like street style inspiration. I feel a lot more passionate about what I'm doing here, I think, than kind of stepping outside of the city right now. I am definitely a city girl. If we go away, I love a city break. I'm always kind of, I really enjoy the fast-paced busyness of a city. And even though I used to live in a town, like when I was back in Surrey, I've always been quite central to the chaos. As an adult, I've never not lived in a central city or town. So I was really daunted by the idea of kind of being a bit further out. I do definitely think it's what I want to do, but just not yet. I just started to get this gut feeling, and I just didn't feel like it was the right move for us. I was also doing the house viewings myself for our house, and the more I was showing people around, the more I would just say, I'm going to be so sad to look back and not have done. You can probably hear the wind, the storm is so bad here. Ooh. I would have been really sad to not have done all of the changes that we wanted to do here, and I felt that we would always look back and be like, oh, if only we'd have just stayed and spent a little bit of money, or just stayed 1 more year or 2 more years. And to be honest, even if we start looking at houses early next year, it's still going to take a year or so for the house buying process to actually go through. By the time you found something, viewed it, actually made your offer, and everything gone through, it takes such a long time that even just for that part of the process, I wanted to really enjoy where we were and embrace it. And I think it's really nice because it was almost like, because we had committed to leaving, we were reflecting back on all the things that I think we would potentially miss, so that we can continue now living here and really enjoying those things and making the most of them. Another factor was every single person that we have told that we were leaving was genuinely really upset and really disappointed. And I just think it's really rare to have community like that. When I was telling friends and family, they were like, that's so nice, we don't really have that here, and that's really nice that you've got like nice neighbours and a community at the gym and a handful of friends that like really care about you. And I definitely feel like we have that, and I also think it's taken a while to establish that. And I was quite reluctant to, how do I explain this? Toby and I had a really dark time before COVID. We had a lot of like personal stresses, and then we went straight into COVID, which was very, very hard for us as 2 self-employed people. I had just become self-employed, so I had nothing to show for. We didn't get any grants, we didn't get any furlough, obviously. So we had a couple of years of like quite a struggle, and that was quite early on in our relationship too. And I feel like it was a lot of emotional work to get to where we are now. And I think that we felt quite isolated for a while, and I think last year was quite a turning point for us in feeling really established and really settled here. And I'm so happy where we are in lots of different parts of our lives, that I just didn't want to kind of like have all of this like falling down and settling and us going, okay, let's just shake it all up again, let's just enjoy where we are now. And we are so lucky to have the house that we have, the neighbours that we have, the friends that we have, and I'm not ready to let it go. So that was our decision, and that is why we are staying. I did film various videos of our moving process, but I'm not going to insert any clips or anything because it's just so depressing to look back on. It's us just genuinely getting really excited about the fact that we'd bought a house and we're moving. And to be honest, Toby has said that he, I think, still finds it hard to accept that we weren't moving, because he really loved that house. I really loved the house. The house was incredible, but I think I was able to step back and see the bigger picture and imagine our life and see the practicalities of that, whereas I think Toby was just like, it's a banging house, I want to move in. So I do think it's the right move for both of us, and I think he also agrees and understands that. But I think it's just hard to, when you've got your hopes up so much for something, to accept that it's not going to happen. And that was definitely a really hard process, and I'm really glad that we've done it, because I do feel like, I think we always wanted to stay. We just needed to know if the grass was greener, and in some ways it is, but in some ways it isn't. And reflecting on what is good about leaving and good about staying, bad about leaving, bad about staying, we've been able to kind of get the right balance. You might remember from some of my other videos, there used to be like a massive big cupboard behind here. We knocked the cupboard out, which means we can now open the door fully. Hey! And we've just like switched things up a little bit in here so that I can now have this. I've now got a desk in here, so this was just a wardrobe for both of us. We've now made it pretty much just a wardrobe for me. There is some of Toby's stuff in the drawers, but we've I've lost quite a lot of hanging space, but that's okay. We've managed to move things around so I can have a desk in here, so that Toby can have a desk in where he was before in the office. But it now means that we can have a double bed in there. So we have gained 2 separate workspaces and a spare room, essentially, for people to come and stay. So we've ticked quite a lot of the boxes on the main things that we were looking for. We've got quite creative with making sure that we actually have what we need right now, and I'm really happy with it, and it's working really well for us. I don't know, I feel really content about things. We remortgaged, we've spent some money on this house. Just, there was nothing major, nothing structural, nothing crazy. We just had a couple bits of plastering to do, obviously plastering up this whole bit of this room. We've brought back some of the traditional features like ceiling roses, picture rails, just basically repainted the entire house throughout and just upgraded a few bits and pieces that needed to be changed, really. I just wanted to give some explanation because I feel like in a few videos we thought we were moving, so we've kind of alluded to the fact that we might be moving, or we've talked about things that we've been doing around the house. Everything has just been kind of upside down because we had everything done throughout October and November, so it's really only been the last week or so that like the painters and decorators have got out, and our house hasn't been full of dust sheets and dust and mess, and we've had carpenters around and plasterers around, and it's just been absolute chaos for the last couple of months. That there has just been like a backlog of things to do, which is why the first week or so of Vlogmas has just been us trying to get on top of things. I hope that explains all of the confusing things about the house, and I'm going to give you a little room tour, which will be going to give you a little house tour, which will be in tomorrow's Vlogmas. So thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's been a bit confusing because we were just super busy yesterday and just got dark, and then our friends came around and we had lots of cocktails and drinks and board games and ate a ton of food. I went to bed at 3 AM. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye.